So I've been getting a few questions about the character that demonstrates animation concepts and what her name is, so here's a shorter video on Gimberly. Back when I first started thinking about this channel, I designed Doodley to be as simple as possible so I could easily animate him talking and gesturing. He has a simple mouth so that I can automate his lip sync to the sound waves of my voiceover, and he has spherical hands so I didn't need to animate fingers. So the result of that is I usually only need to animate his arms and head. It saves a ton of time and makes these videos pretty fast to animate. But I eventually realized that in order to demonstrate things like FK and IK, I needed a full body, realistically proportioned character to pop in sometimes. These arms are a little too short and stubby to get the full idea across. They're good for quick demonstrations, but to really understand it, I need something more human. I thought about using robots and mannequins like most tutorials use, and I already really like these body mechanics rigs by Joe Daniels. I was already really comfortable animating rigs like this for previous projects, and I like that they allowed me to focus on body mechanics and movement without getting distracted by things like facial animation. But ultimately I decided against it because it felt too sterile. I wanted these videos to be fun and inviting and full of personality so that non-animators could enjoy them as though they were watching a cartoon rather than a tutorial. Plus I knew one day I'd want to talk about faces and expressions, so it'd be kind of silly to introduce a character that lacked a face only to introduce another character down the line that actually had a face. And so much of animation comes from personality and emotion that it wouldn't feel quite right to me if the character lacked a face. Something about the demonstration doesn't quite connect without a personality attached to it. Best comparison I can make is that instead of a college lecture that meticulously explains everything, I want it to be more like a Bill Nye video. Physical, visual demonstrations with lots of personality. I think doing it that way helps audiences connect and understand the concept a lot more quickly than they would otherwise. So I knew I was going to do some kind of human character, but whatever character I came up with couldn't have obstructions from loose clothing or anything like that. So whatever they were wearing needed to be simple. I wasn't about to animate a bunch of clothes, and even if I did, their clothes could end up obscuring important parts of their body. For example, if I wanted to demonstrate animating parts of the spine, a loose-fitting shirt is going to obstruct a lot of that. So whatever they're wearing needed to stick close to the body without being too generic. And as for the alternative, so I actually got stuck here for a little while because nothing jumped out to me that fit that criteria while being unique. But eventually I realized the perfect match to what I needed. If you don't know, back in the 80s and 90s, you could buy these workout videos to follow along with at home, and they're sort of an icon for that time period. I grew up in the 2000s, so they're a little before my time, but they always struck me as really fun with lots of cute, bright palettes and high energy. After that, everything kind of fell into place in a way that was both really fun visually and also really functional for demonstrations. In 3D rigs, red and blue are often used for each side of the controls. So she can have sweatbands and tights that are red on one side and blue on the other. Very fun visually and also really useful for visualizations to help separate each side of the body. As for the other aspects, grids are often a really big part of 3D programs, and I already had this checkerboard aesthetic going, so the checkerboard leotard fit really well with that and also helped to visualize some spine stretching and compression. Finally, I gave her a ponytail so that I could add simple hair physics and tied it together with this gimbal hair tie. I'm really proud of this little detail. I feel like it's that sort of iconic trait that every character design should have that makes it really easy to remember. This is also where her name comes from. Gimbals are basically devices that can maintain 3D rotations, so I figured it'd be fun to include that in her name somewhere. For a short while, her name was actually Gimby, until I hit on Gimberly, which was way more fun, even if it sounded a little weird. By the way, I'm really inspired by the art of Rhythm Heaven, so I didn't realize until recently just how much Gimberly kind of resembles a Rhythm Heaven character, even down to the proportions. She has the same oversized hands and feet a lot of Rhythm Heaven characters have, but thankfully I think all of that kind of helps further visualize animation concepts. Anyways, when it came to the final model and rig, she wasn't too difficult to put together. I use an auto-raking framework called MGear that is an absolute godsend for Maya users, so a lot of the features she uses are based on features found in MGear. When it came to her texture and shader, I wasn't sure how detailed I wanted her rendering to be. I wanted her to be more detailed than other characters I had made at that point, but not exactly Disney levels of quality. I still wanted her to have a lot of my own 2D aesthetic, but eventually she mostly just ended up being a bit more detailed than my usual characters, with finer details in her clothes and hair, but I think it worked well. In the end, she ended up being a really fun contrast to Doodley. I didn't intend for this to happen, but it's really fun having a very 2D character like Doodley next to a 3D character like Gimberly, even if both of them are actually 3D. Even though this channel mostly leans into 3D, as that's where most of my experience is, I wanted it to encompass all animation styles, and I think having them contrast each other like this invites that way of thinking. Her final rig isn't exactly where I want it to be though. It's overall kind of jank. Her face rig only has really basic mouth corner and lip controls. Her blinks and pupils aren't as clean as I'd like them to be. Her arms aren't actually anatomically accurate, and there's just a lot of areas I'd like to touch up in general. So eventually I do want to make a version 2 that starts mostly from scratch, and since a lot of people have asked, I do plan on releasing that version of the rig for free. I think it'd be fun to see people practice animation with her, but first her rig needs a lot of work to make it comfortable for beginners. Professional rigs that are released on places like Gumroad are really clean and easy for beginners to use, and if I release a rig publicly like that, it should be on that same level. So it may be a little while before that happens, but I do want it to happen eventually. By the way, I do read every comment, even if I don't respond to all of them. Every comment. Hello, it's the Gimberly rig. Ooh. That's it for the video, but I wanted to make a quick announcement. I'm going to stream for the first time tonight at 8 p.m. EST. I made this VTuber avatar with hand tracking, and I'm super excited to just chill and animate stuff for you guys. I figured streaming is a good place to show my process more in depth, and eventually I want to do actual program tutorials through these streams. And maybe sometimes I'll stream fun stuff like modeling and rigging the things I need for my videos, like costumes and props. Or maybe we'll just chill and check out some weird old animation. Who knows? And if you're watching this in the future, don't worry, I want to try streaming every Friday at 8 p.m. EST, so just stop by then and see if I've got a stream planned. As always, thanks for supporting me, and I hope to see you then. Bye!